Conservatives. I'm PM Manifesto with a new manifesto of cash for the rich, not much for the rest though. It's low tax returning for those with high earnings. Well, perhaps not this lady for earning, but the damage is done. And I've just begun 65 billion to get back to square one. The worst first budget is inconceivable, the IMF said.
You're unbelievable.
They say our policies increase inequalities. No ship Sherlock, yes, with the stories. Don't be mistaking the compassion. We're faking all that triples down. Is the pit side to get taxpayers' money? Now guaranteed huge profits for energy companies. There's cash to be found by shorting the pound. For our mates, as the rates fall down to the ground, our donors can phone us, so bankers get a bonus. We've increased the cost of what markets will loan us. I pay no attention to your mortgage or pension. You could go broke thanks to my intervention. I crash down everything around me. The rich get the money, and you get the bill. I crash down everything around me. The rich get the money, and you get the bill.
Hello guys, how you all doing? I thought I'd try a brand new approach today, and what I'm going to do is do a live stream every Fridays, and I'm going to invite my locals and Patreon members to come in, join in with me, and just have a chat. I'm going to be talking about all of the latest issues that's happening around the world, and this will be my first. Yes, Polly, I have considered it. Yes, of course, I have considered it. I'm still fairly new at this, so I'm going to be, bear with me. I'll try and get it perfected eventually. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I just want to make sure the sound is okay. Can you just confirm everything is okay? Nobody can hear me? Great, great, excellent. Stream shown on YouTube as not being set up yet. Really? Oops. That's not good. Okay, no worries, guys. I want to share my screen. I just want to make sure people can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen okay? It looks a bit weird though. Can you guys see this properly? I'm just gonna. Okay, brilliant. Yep, excellent. I think we're all set. We're all set. Excellent. So again, guys, don't forget, if you're on my Patreons or locals, you're welcome to join in at any time. And the link is on the Patreons and locals. Happy to get any of you on board. This is going to be a brand new show I'm doing every Fridays, and I'm going to be talking about all of the latest issues around the world, and hopefully should be fun. This is all unscripted, so no, I have to make sure I don't make any mistakes. I have to be extra careful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with some British asylum issues in the UK. And as you know, there is a huge issue with asylum, and we've seen pictures and images of asylum seekers coming in via boats, via channels, and this is a big issue for UK. And I got to tell you, this is one of the main reasons why the British people voted for Brexit. and it's a huge issue. And you can see a lot of people have been coming in from various different countries. But the main thing is, I got to show you this this part. This is from the Asylum Seeking Institute, and he says majority of the asylum seekers who come in do not have the right to work. So basically, they're coming to UK, and housing is provided, but asylum seekers cannot choose where it is, and often hard to let properties with council tenants do not want to live in. Cash support is available and currently set at £39.63 per person per week, which makes it about £5.64 per day for food, sanitation, and clothing. So the problem here is there are probably UK government is probably paying billions and billions for all of these asylum seekers, and asylum seekers come in various different types. Some come in as refugees, others come in as economic migrants. When you say economic migrants, it's mainly because they come in to get a better way of life. There's refugees coming in from Ukraine. You got people coming in from Hong Kong as well. And there's a big list of countries, and I think the list of countries is here. I'm going to go into these stories later on. The list of countries is basically Albania, Syria, Libya. Obviously, there's a big list here somewhere, actually. Let me have a look. Here you go. In the year ending 2021, for top 5 countries were Iran, Eritrea, Albania, Iraq, and Syria. So the UK government has been blaming the Albanians mainly for this. And the Albanian president normally came out and he's really, really unhappy about it. And I'm just going to show you an interview with the Albanian president. And he's very unhappy because it seems like the Albanians are getting the blame for all of these migrant crises. The UK government and the BBC is saying that the Albanians are coming in, they're basically drug dealing, they are big gangsters, they are using these asylum seekers for drugs and gangs and prostitution and things like that. And the BBC basically posted this, and the government is saying exactly the same thing. But the Albanian president today came out, and he's not been very happy, and he's basically come out with this interview. I just want to show you this quickly. So you can see the Albanian president is not very happy about this, and I'm going to show you why he's not very happy. First of all, the Home Secretary comes into the migrant area with a Chinook helicopter. I mean, can you believe this shit? She comes in with a Chinook helicopter like she's landing in a war zone or something. I mean, immediately it shows what she thinks of the migrants. I mean, why the hell would she come in with a helicopter? And imagine the CO2 that gets produced by coming in one of these, and the price involved as well. And absolutely ridiculous. So the reason the Albanian president is not very happy, you can see this article here from the BBC. Albanian migrants recruited to the UK by gangs. So you can see why the Albanians have been singled out and targeted. And you can see here, Albanian drug gangs are using migrant camps of northern France as a recruitment ground, offering to pay the passage of those prepared to work in the UK drugs industry on arrival, the BBC has been told. Albanians account for around a third of almost all 40,000 people who have arrived in small boats so far this year. According to the UK government figures, senior police and immigration officials on both sides of the channel are worried by the growing role of Albanian middlemen facilitating crossings. So this BBC article is basically saying the Albanians are all gangsters, they're all here for drugs and they're part of gangs and crime and stuff like that. And you can see here for all the countries that it's come from, and this does not match. This does not match the actual arrivals from the actual UN UN official figures. I don't know where they got this from. But according to this, January to June 2022, Albania came first, Afghanistan, then Iran, Iraq, Syria, Eritrea, Sudan, Egypt. So let me tell you something, guys. Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. So can you see the coincidence there? These are countries that the US and the West completely destroyed, destabilized, and obviously people will come from those countries to look for a better life elsewhere. And this is the product of what the West has been doing. I mean, they are asking for all of these migrants themselves. I mean, it's not just these countries, but also Libya as well, Palestine, but people can't leave Palestine, unfortunately. They are under, it's like an open air prison over there. So you can imagine why, if they kept these countries stable, without bombing them to oblivion, then they're not going to have all these problems. And these migrant issues going to get worse. And there's other countries in there which is not in the list. I mean, over the years, it used to be Kosovo and Bosnia, but they have been integrated in the British public. But other countries not in this list is Ukraine. Because can you see they especially missed out Ukraine because the BBC do not want you to blame the Ukrainians, so they got rid of the Ukrainians. So you can see it's nothing here from Ukraine. And obviously it says here, why do the people crossing the channel come from? But they're not actually talking about the real issue here. The real issue is people are coming from all over the world, whether by boats, whether by planes. And women coming from Ukraine are staying here. They have a relationship, or they get married, or they never go back. Ukrainians are not allowed to be kicked out of UK. The government will do everything they can to keep them here. There's a lot of people coming from Hong Kong. There's a lot of people coming from Libya, which they're not going to mention here. So there's a lot of data here that's missing. And this is all their own fault. This is the West, destabilizing the world. And this is where these migrants come from. So you can see billions are being produced per year to house all of these migrants. And you can see another BBC article here. It says, what are the concerns about the Albanian gangs? And you can see they're basically saying these Albanian gangs are doing drugs, doing all sorts of issues. And one of the things here which stands out, Albanian gangs are also leading players in the UK's 5 billion cocaine market, the NCA says. And in 2017, an Albanian national was imprisoned after running a cocaine smuggling operation worth 60 million. So I do not understand why they are targeting Albania, because the drugs problem is not just Albanians' problem. I mean, the drugs issue seems to be a worldwide issue. I mean, nowadays, I know a lot of people who can order drugs on the internet, on the dark web. You don't really need a dealer anymore. You can just order on the dark web. And that's how a lot of people get their drugs. And I've seen people ordering it on Snapchat, social media, Twitter. They're everywhere, and it's so easy to get. And I think it's unfair to just blaming these Albanian guys for the drugs. I think the drug issue is a major issue throughout the world. It's a big problem in UK, and I'm just going to show you this. It's a major problem in UK, and you can see if in UK, this is in 2021, 4,859 deaths related to drug poisoning were registered in England and Wales. This is the highest number since records began in 1993. And this is increasing year by year. You can see here, deaths registered in 2021 is significantly higher than the rate in 2020. And in 2022, it's going to get higher. So every year it's getting higher and higher. I'm not going to even mention the deaths in the United States, which is reaching almost up to 100,000 people, mainly down to fentanyl. Fentanyl is a major problem in the US, but it hasn't hit UK as hard yet. But I'm hearing stories how more and more deaths in UK are related to fentanyl, and I think fentanyl is starting to come to these shores more and more. And what a lot of these drug dealers are doing to make the drugs even harder, like to give it more of a hit, they are mixing it with fentanyl. So you'll have cocaine mixed with fentanyl, you'll have heroin mixed with fentanyl, MDMA mixed with fentanyl, and what that will do, you'll make it that much more stronger. And these people who kind of are used to taking their normal dose will probably take a double dose one day thinking they can handle it, and suddenly it's too much and they have an overdose. And this is what's happening in the United States. But there are a lot of problems in the United States. I think a lot of the deaths is because a lot of people don't have health care or can't afford health care. So so when they have an overdose, they think they can handle it. They don't want to pay the extra money for healthcare to go to the hospital, to go, pay for the bed, to pay for the ambulance. So I think a lot of people think they can survive and they can just get through it, and eventually they don't, they die. And this is why there's so many COVID deaths in the United States as well. Healthcare is a major problem, and a lot of people can't afford it, and this is why a lot of people are dying in the United States. The problem in the UK is the NHS system is so overpopulated. Not only you have all of these people in UK, but you have all of these migrants as well coming in, and they need hospital treatments as well. And this is why the NHS cannot handle the huge population increase. And more of these migrants are coming in, and there's just more and more people, and the NHS can't cope. And my uncle actually recently died of cancer. He had to wait 2 years for a checkup, and he didn't have the checkup during COVID because everything was postponed, and he had to wait 2 years after COVID recently. And by the time he went for the checkup, they found out he had cancer, and he only had 6 weeks to live. He was too late for any chemotherapy or anything like that because he had already spread throughout his body. So this is a major problem happening in UK. There's a lot of people dying of excess deaths, and COVID is not the biggest killer, nor is drugs. It's also because the NHS is being so heavily congested with people. There's a huge backlog of people, and yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I have to tell you, I had an issue once with COVID myself. I don't know if I should kind of share it with you guys. It's a bit shocking. I will kind of tell you. So, in the beginning of the COVID pandemic, I actually had COVID, and I thought I could handle it, and I thought maybe I can handle it. I can just I thought maybe it's just a really bad flu. And at that point, I didn't have any vaccination, so I thought I could handle it. So overnight, I just couldn't sleep, and then in the end, I had real bad trouble breathing. So obviously, it was affecting my breathing, and it was affecting my chest as well. I had real severe chest pains and real major headache, and it was terrible. I thought I was going to die. So I called the ambulance. And the ambulance didn't come after 8 hours. 8 hours I had to wait for the ambulance. And at this point, I thought I was going to die. I was literally thought, this is the end. And, my breathing got worse and worse throughout the night. And I was walking out in the street, trying to get in as much air as possible. It was a horrible feeling. I actually thought I was going to die. And imagine the relief when I finally saw the ambulance. It was about 8 hours later. They took me to hospital, and they kept me waiting in the waiting room. And in the waiting room, there was at least 20, 30 other people there, all coughing, all probably got COVID as well. And I told them, do you not have a separate room? Because I've got COVID. I might, give my COVID to these guys. And they said, no, we're really, really busy. We're completely overrun. And literally people standing next to me were collapsing because they couldn't breathe. and the doctors and nurses, we just wouldn't do anything. These guys were just on the floor collapsing and just probably dying. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? I'm surely going to die now. And at this point, I was literally praying and saying, you know what, this is the end. This is the end of my, I might as well just call up as many people as I can, say my goodbyes. And I was really having trouble breathing and stuff. But luckily, eventually they managed to call me in and they put me into an oxygen chamber, and I managed to kind of survive. But a lot of people didn't make it, and it was horrible, to be honest. And I can imagine what it's like for people who are older. I'm fairly young. I'm in my 30s, and obviously I've got a lot of strength. But I can imagine if I was a lot older, I would have surely been dead by now. But a lot of people did die in the beginning of COVID. So anyway, I'm kind of going outside what's happening, but I thought it's important to kind of tell you the state of the NHS system at the moment, and all of these migrants coming in is just making it worse. And this is the reason why people voted for Brexit. And guess what? Even after Brexit, there's more and more of these illegal migrants coming in, normal migrants coming in from Ukraine, Hong Kong. The system is completely near collapse at the moment. And I just don't know how they can cope. And especially nowadays, with nurses are looking to strike because they don't get enough pay. The nurses only had about 1% pay rise, I believe, last year, and they were not very happy with that. The government released some sort of statement saying, oh, we cannot afford it and stuff. But if you look at the inflation numbers, the rate of inflation is about, official figures is 10%, but the actual figures is probably more closer to 30%. So if a nurse gets 1% pay rise, she's actually, if you look at the inflation, if it's 30%, she's actually getting a pay, her pay is actually going down, because the money you get at the end of the month, that you get, you basically have to pay more because of inflation. So your pay actually goes down, not up. So in order to deal with inflation, you got to put your pay levels to the same level as inflation. So everybody's pay must reflect the inflation level. But that's the problem, really. Nobody's pay is increasing. Everyone's pay is decreasing. So that is a problem. The NHS, I don't know how much longer it's going to last. Probably not, to be honest. Probably not going to last much longer because it's absolutely close to collapse. I'm going to come to North Korea later. Let's kind of talk about Imran Khan. So Imran Khan recently, hang on a second, guys. I'm going to make sure you guys can still hear me. Can you all still hear me? Make sure you guys are hearing me. Make sure everything's okay. Yes, I believe so. That's great. So don't forget, if you guys want to join me, you're welcome to join me, and I'll kind of let you into this chat room. So let's talk about Imran Khan again. Let's go back to Imran Khan. That's it. So Imran Khan recently been shot in a rally in Pakistan. So those of you who don't know the story, Imran Khan was actually one of the first prime ministers who decided to go close to China and Russia, and he was one of the first prime ministers, to do that. And the Americans did not like it, especially because Imran Khan went to see Vladimir Putin maybe like a day before like Russia went into Ukraine, and the Americans did not like that at all. So they basically paid off his parliament to do some sort of no vote confidence and got him kicked out as prime minister. And he was actually doing the right things for Pakistan at the time. Pakistan was actually going places. Pakistan was one of the main issues Pakistan has been having is, corruption. And the current leader of Pakistan, Sharif, he was wanted in Pakistan for a number of, fraud and, money laundering cases. And he himself and his family has got properties all over London worth billion, or more, worth not billion, probably millions, hundreds of millions. And he was called in Pakistan to kind of go to this court case to discuss his money laundering stuff and all the money he's took out of Pakistan to buy himself properties in London, to try and explain that. And he basically said that no, I'm not feeling very well. I'm not going to come to Pakistan, because he was living in London at the time. Why should he go all the way to Pakistan and get arrested? So he was like, no, I'm not feeling very well. I'm not going to go to Pakistan and go to this court case. So as soon as they kicked out Imran Khan, somebody from the West suggested his name, and I believe it was the United States and Americans and British, or whoever's kind of got a big say in how Pakistan politics runs. And they know he is the most corrupt guy in Pakistan. So guess what? Guess who they put in power? Yes, they put that guy, Sharif, in power. The most corrupt guy in Pakistan, the most guy who's stolen the most money out of Pakistan, they put him in power. And so he's now in power, and the funny thing is, he traveled all the way from London to Pakistan, and he's like full as rain. He's like, no, there's no health problems. He's like, yeah, I'm okay. I can run the country. Yeah, there's no problems with me. He's ill when he comes to like going there to kind of answer for his crimes, but when they called him to come in and lead the country, he's fine. There's no health issues. There's no problems. So he is like the most corrupt guy in Pakistan at the moment. So everybody knows that there is a Belt and Road scheme going on between China and Pakistan, and China is helping Pakistan build a port in Gwadar in Pakistan. And over the years, this was happening way before Imran Khan's time. Over the years, a lot of money has been taken out of the Belt and Road scheme, and there was a lot of corruption. And a lot of the projects are very much behind schedule, and some of the projects around Gwadar itself is about 20% completed. There's roads, railway links, none of it's completed. They're more or less 20-30% done. So China has already spent about 67 billion on these projects, and suddenly China's realized, you know what, we're just throwing money into a country and we're not getting anything back. And the last straw came. There were some Chinese workers who were working on I think a electricity plant in Pakistan. They were under attack of this terrorist group in Balochistan, I believe. Sorry if I'm not getting it right. But there was a suicide bomber which blew up their vehicle that they were in, killed the Chinese workers. And China had no choice but to call back most of its Chinese workers because they weren't safe. And because of that, also, a lot of the projects got delayed. And now, a couple of days ago, Mr. Sharif went to China to beg for more money. He's like the Pakistani version of Zelensky. So he went to China and he was begging for more money. Unfortunately for him, China said no. He did not get any money because China is not stupid. They know he's like a puppet for the United States. They know he's the United States put him in power. They put him in power because he's the most corrupt guy in Pakistan. And they put him in power because if China gives him the money, they know that he will take it. So China is not that stupid. So they haven't given him any money. They are waiting. China is waiting until Pakistan gets a good leader and somebody, maybe they're even waiting for Imran Khan to come back. But Imran Khan seems to be a very honest prime minister. He was completely honest from the get-go. And he's done a lot of great things for Pakistan when he was around. He was the one who installed the Lahore metro, which has helped, millions of people in Lahore. And he's also kind of started a lot of projects in Pakistan as well. But he was only there for a short time. In the history of Pakistan, there was no leader who kind of lasted the full term. They were either ousted or killed. And the most famous Pakistani leader was Bhutto, and Benazir Bhutto, and she was assassinated, unfortunately, and she was a very good one as well. I know a lot about Pakistan because my wife is Pakistani, and she tells me a lot about these things, and also her family tell me a lot as well. So I get a lot of knowledge about that. My missus's father is actually used to be good friends with Imran Khan. He used to work as part of the government. He had a government job, and he used to know Imran Khan personally. But he's living in UK now. He's left that job a long time ago. Well, I think after Pakistan's Imran Khan left the office, I think he left the job. He came to London. But anyway, he was. The point is, Imran Khan was a good prime minister. He was honest from the get-go, and he was trying to do everything he can for Pakistan. He was trying to get cheap gas deals from Russia, and he was trying to get good deals from China, and he was getting very close to both countries, which the United States did not like. And he went to see Putin, and he agreed a very cheap gas deal, which was there's going to be a pipeline coming in from Russia, going into Pakistan, and also going into India. But it has to go through Pakistan to go into India, because the way the geographic map is, you have to go through Pakistan before he goes to India. So they agreed some sort of pipeline deal. The Americans did not want that, and they got rid of him straight away. Another thing that America wanted was they wanted to use Pakistan as a base to send drones to Afghanistan and do assassination attempts in Afghanistan. And Imran Khan said no, he's not going to allow that anymore. And Americans were not very happy about that as well. So this is how Americans got rid of him. Pakistan is a very corrupt country. All you need to do is pay some money to some people, and you can get anyone taken out of power. It's very, very easy. So the guy who shot him, he's obviously been paid by someone. In Pakistan, all you need to do is pay someone to kill someone. If someone's really desperate, they will do anything for money. And this guy was probably promised that his family would be looked after. And you can see from his statement here, and it's very, very suspicious. You can see from his statement, the police asked him why he had opened fire. He said he was misguiding the people. I wanted to kill him. I tried to kill him. So he's almost like admitting his fault straight away. He's not like saying, oh, I want a lawyer, or he's not, saying no comment. He's almost, straight away he's saying it's him. And in Pakistan, this happens a lot. If you're from a poor family and you have a wife and loads of kids and you've got no way of kind of paying for them and looking after them, what a lot of these people do is they would do anything. They would even kill themselves if it meant that their family will live a good life. So what probably somebody did was promise him that his wife's going to have a lot of money, his kids are going to be looked after, they're going to be going to good schools and stuff. And if he can kill Imran Khan, then that would happen. And obviously, if he does that, then he would be caught, he would be sent to prison, or he'd be sent to death, because Pakistan does have a death penalty as well. But you don't care about that, because as long as your wife and your kids have a good life, then you don't care about that. So this is why this guy basically said, yeah, I wanted to kill him. I tried to kill him straight away, admitted it straight away, because he doesn't want to, he wants to basically, he's doing it for his family. He's obviously been paid. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing, because he knows this is what he needs to do, and this is why he gets paid for. And so it's very easy in Pakistan. There's a lot of poverty in Pakistan. All you have to do is, find someone very desperate, will do anything for money, and you pay them, saying, right, Imran Khan's going to be here. This is a gun. Take this gun, shoot him, and that's what's happened. It's a very corrupt country. One of the worst things happened to Pakistan lately is the floods, and the issue is people around the world only raised 10 million for the Pakistani floods. But if you compare it to how much people raised for Ukraine, and we're talking about 100 billion, over 100 billion people have raised for Ukraine. And I went to the cinema in UK the other day, and my cinema ticket was a little bit more expensive than usual. So I asked the lady, "Excuse me, can I have a look at the receipt, please?" And she showed me the receipt, and at the bottom of the receipt it says, "Help for Ukraine, £1." I was like, "What the f?" You know, I didn't ask for this. So I said to the lady, "Excuse me, you know, if you're gonna take money out of me without asking me and sending it to Ukraine, at least have the decency to tell me that you're gonna do this. You know, you, it should be an option to me. It should be it should be my choice if I want to give money to Ukraine or not. You can't just take it out of my ticket without even asking." And she said, "Oh, sorry, this is a cinema policy. But if you want a refund for that £1, we can give you a refund for that £1." I said, "Hell yeah, I want a refund for that £1." You know what I mean? Because you don't know where this money is going into Ukraine. It's not going for the people. I mean, people in Ukraine are suffering right now. They've got no power. A lot of them are probably, freezing to death right now because it's very cold in Ukraine right now. And all that money is going to go to Zelensky and his merry men. And you've seen Zelensky with his same clothes, but you've seen images and videos of his team driving around in nice cars and sports cars and stuff. There's videos out there of I saw it in Redacted, I think, that show on YouTube. And even Trump has said that Ukraine is the most corrupt country, and there's obviously images of all of these weapons going into the black market. All of these Ukrainians are making loads of money from all these weapons that have been dumped into Ukraine and they're selling on the black market. Who knows who's buying it? Imagine a stinger in the arms of a terrorist, and these stingers are used on Western airplanes a few years from now. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do, to be honest. And you've seen all of these migrants coming into UK with boats. So imagine one of these migrants coming in with these weapons, and then goes into hiding in UK. So he can literally do whatever he wants in UK, and he can get away with it. And this is what's happening at the moment. The border is wide open in UK, and people are walking in. Same in the US. If you find your way into Mexico, you can go through the borders and get into the United States with whatever weapons you have with you. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these Western countries get some sort of terrorist attack in the next couple of years, if not sooner. So we'll see anyway. So yeah, that's all I wanted to kind of say about Pakistan, really. I hope he makes a good recovery, Imran Khan. He has been a very good leader. He's been honest with the people. He's been doing some good things for Pakistan. And he has been trying to push Pakistan to be sovereign. Everything that he says, like his famous words were, "We are not slaves to the West, we are sovereign," or something along those lines. And I hope he comes back into power, but something tells me they are not going to let him. They'll either try and assassinate him somehow, or they are not going to let him, because Pakistan is still a very corrupt country. And the military is also very corrupt. So I wouldn't really have much high hopes for Imran Khan to come into power. But if it does, it'll be great for Pakistan, guys. And you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to suck up to the Chinese. He's saying, "Oh, we need your help, this and that." But then he had to get involved. He had to get involved in Chinese, things are very important to Chinese, the internal affairs, like internal issues, like Taiwan, like Xinjiang and stuff. So he had to kind of put all of these human rights, and he had to talk about Taiwan. He says that it's important for the status quo not to change, and any reunification must be peaceful or mutually agreed. That's fine. But why do you send German warships through the Taiwanese Strait causing issues. Why do the US send Pelosi? Why do the US send aircraft carriers in that region? Why is US selling weapons to Taiwan? Why is US pushing for separatists? Why is US changing the rules regarding the One China policy? So Olaf is not mentioning anything about that. He's just talking about China. China should do this. China should do that. And then he talks about human rights issues. What about the human rights issues in Donbass, when all these, people in Donbass were being killed by the Ukrainians? And did the Germans do anything? Did they implement the Minsk agreement which they signed for? Of course not. So this guy's talking out of his ass, I'm sorry to say. What about what's happening in Palestine? What about when they bombed Libya? What about when NATO bombed Libya? When they bombed Yugoslavia? There's so many issues around the world. And recently, let me tell you something. Recently, Germany had an arms embargo against Saudi Arabia. And they put this arms embargo against Saudi Arabia because of what's happening in Yemen. This idiot went to Saudi Arabia and said, okay, this embargo is over. We will give you as many weapons as you want. You give us oil and we'll give you all the weapons. So what about the Yemeni people? He doesn't give a crap about human rights. He doesn't give a crap about people in Yemen. All he cares about is his interests, oil and crap. So you can see, the Chinese stations are very polite about this. They're saying nice things about Olaf and saying, oh, this is a change in direction. But I can read through the lines. I can see he's here to be, he's on one hand, he's trying to rub up the Chinese, saying, oh, we need your help in climate change. We need your help in this. We need your help in that. Our economy is absolutely crashing. So we need your money. That's what he's trying to say. But on the other hand, he's saying, oh, we're not happy about Taiwan. We're not happy about human rights. So this idiot, he thinks that the Chinese is going to help him. I mean, he was talking fine until he started talking about human rights and stuff. I'm sure a lot of Chinese who are listening, they're going to be rolling their eyes in his speech, and they're going to be saying, oh, no, not another one. And then another problem is he's also talking a lot about Putin as well. He mentioned Putin about 3 or 4 times. He's saying, oh, all of the world issues are because of Putin. And he's also asking China to get involved and ask Putin to stop and things like that. I mean, has this guy got a brain or something? Does he really think that the Chinese are going to sit there and listen to this fool? I mean, come on. This guy is an idiot. And not only he's an idiot, he's not, the Chinese are not going to trust him. But not only he's an idiot, the people are not trusting him as well. And you can see some of the articles. This is coming from Washington. Waltzing in Beijing, Germany's Olaf Scholz plays US for a fool. So obviously people in the West are not very happy about his trip to see the Chinese. And you can see Scholz's trip to China sparks numerous objections. And even President Xi has said, Scholz's political trust is easy to destroy, hard to rebuild. And he's trying to tell Scholz in a nice way, you guys have been destroying the trust that we had when we had good relations with Merkel. But we're not going to trust you that easily. We're not going to open our arms and give you everything you want, because you guys have broken a lot of trust. You've sent warships to the Taiwanese Strait. You've done a lot of things which are anti-Chinese. You've sent a delegation to Taiwan. You've done a lot of crap. And like President Xi said, trust is very hard to rebuild. And this is like a warning to Olaf Scholz. But I don't think Olaf Scholz is intelligent enough to understand that warning. So I'm going to talk a bit more about Germany. You can see here, start. So here he says, any change in Taiwan's status quo must be peaceful. So again, this is the same sort of shit that he's telling the world, while in the same time, the West is sending weapons to Ukraine. The West is doing everything to antagonize Russia. They push this NATO, and the West has pushed this war with Russia and Ukraine. and they'll probably do the same with Taiwan. And he's obviously chatting a lot of crap here. He's trying to blame China. He tells China any change in Taiwan's status quo must be peaceful. But what about the warnings to US? What about, did he mention anything about Pelosi's trip? No. Did he mention about, is he going to stop sending warships to the Taiwanese Strait? No. These Westerners think they can tell China what to do while they can do whatever the hell they want. Absolutely ridiculous. So he also asked China to press Russia to end its war. Is it stupid or something? Do you really think President Xi is going to call up President Putin right now after this meeting and say, yo, Putin, my man, what's happening? I need you to end this war because my man Scholz came down and he wants me to call you and end this war. So this is why I'm calling you. No way. That's not, that's never going to happen. Never going to happen. This Scholz guy, he's only doing it for the cameras. He's there as a publicity stunt. He's not really interested in the German, industry, the German government, German people. If he had any sorts of brains whatsoever, he would not be saying things like this. He would not talk about Taiwan. He would not talk about human rights. He would not talk about, China to press Russia to end this war. The whole world, the United States has been pushing China to stop Putin in this war, and have the United States managed to stop China? No. So why does he think he can come in and say the same thing? Absolutely ridiculous. This guy is a real idiot. Not only he's made a fool out of himself in China, he's also being made a fool out of in the West as well, because the West is not liking him coming to China. They are not liking him at all. And this is why I don't think he's going to last. This guy's very much a damp squib. He's very much a weak leader. He's probably one of the weakest German leaders I've ever seen in my time. And, we're talking about weaker than Merkel. Even Gerhard was stronger than him. Can't remember his second name, but Gerhard Schroeder, I believe. But yeah, this guy is a weakling. So there's more, guys. There's more. So I want to talk about this. He had a lot of pressure because it says here Germany agrees controversial sale of Hamburg port to China. And this has caused him a lot of grief over the years. And a lot of people, what many people do not know or understand is, you can see Germany's government agreed to allow COSCO shipping to acquire a stake of less than 25% instead of previously planned 35%. What they do not tell you is any company from anywhere around the world can put in a stake of less than 25%, and you do not need government approval for it. So the government do not have a say in that kind of approval. So the fact that Costco has come in and put in a stake of less than 25%, it's got nothing to do with the government. They can agree to that. And it's only if you want to stake higher than that the government gets involved, and they said no. And that's what they did. They said no. Initially, they wanted 35%. They said no, and Costco bought 25% instead. And another thing they're not going to tell you is Hamburg port is very close to being bankrupt. So the Chinese actually coming in to help the port. They're not coming in for their own benefit. This is a win-win situation. If they're not going to come in, who else is going to come in? They're very close to bankrupt at the moment. You can see the Greece ports, which is mostly owned by Costco, and look how much business the Greece ports are having. So obviously it's a good thing. So I have no idea why these Germans think that having the Chinese come in and take 25% of the port will affect anything. It's not. It's not going to affect anything whatsoever. In fact, it's a win-win situation for all parties. So this one, they made a rule that Germany wants to scrap Xinjiang investment guarantees amid concern. So any company which has got factories in Xinjiang will not get any German investments and subsidies and stuff. But it tells you which companies are there. You can see companies such as Adidas, which is American company, Puma, BMW, Bosch, Siemens, BASF all have links to the Xinjiang region. And another company which has links to the Xinjiang region is Volkswagen. Volkswagen is also building some really major kind of factories in the Xinjiang area. And they're not going to tell you this. And he says here, the Greens, which control the economy ministry under the co-leader Robert Habeck, has taken a robust stance on the human rights abuses in China. So anybody that knows the German government, it's kind of like a collaboration. You have the Scholz side and you have the Greens, and they're both kind of collaborating to run the country. The Greens are completely crazy. You have Robert Habeck and you have Annalena Baerbock, who are absolutely crazy, proper hawks, anti-China, anti-Russian hawks. They would rather destroy their own economy, and they would rather see their own people burn than, have a trade link with China or Russia even. And this is why you have kind of articles such as this. Annalena Baerbock is actually going completely crazy. She's going, where is it here? Yes, Annalena Baerbock is going absolutely crazy. She's kind of coming onto interviews. She's talking behind Scholz's back, saying, "Oh, this guy has gone all the way to China. He didn't, he doesn't respect us. He's not listening to us. He's basically, he's a rebel. What he's doing is wrong. He's a traitor." She's going absolutely crazy about it, and it's all over the papers. And she is not happy that Scholz has gone all the way there, and she is throwing a proper hissy fit. But Scholz going there, he's not won any friends whatsoever. He's obviously made a lot of enemies going there. The West obviously hates him. His own the Green Party now hates him, and he's gone all the way to China to insult them. One minute he's saying, "Oh, we need your help." Next minute he's talking about Taiwan. Next minute he's talking about human rights issues. He's talking about Xinjiang. Basically the Chinese are just looking at him and just rolling their eyes, thinking, "Oh, no, another stupid Westerner coming here to telling us what to do." He's not going to last long, guys. He's an absolute lame duck of a leader for Germany, and I don't think he's going to last very long. So how is Germany doing right now? German inflation hit 70-year high as economists warn of deep recession risk. So this is one of the reasons he's went there, because Germany is not in a good place at the moment, and he's got no choice. He knows that the US was involved in the Nord Stream pipeline, obviously with the UK as well, that being blown up. So the only choice he has is China. And don't forget, these Greens, right? What does the party's main? You got to look at the Greens. The name says it all. This is a Green Party, and they're all about climate change. They're all about reducing carbon. They're all about all about pushing for renewables, making a good future for everyone. And these guys are just so warmongering. And where the hell? Let me tell you something. Where the hell is Germany going to get its renewables like solar and wind? Because most of the stuff gets made in China. China, the polysilicon is made in Xinjiang area. The wind turbines need lots of rare earth minerals, and China kind of owns 90% of it around the world. So where the hell is Germany going to get all of that stuff from if they don't have any, links with China? Are they going to, push it out their arse? Is Annalena Baerbock going to give birth to rare earth minerals? What the hell is going on? They are absolutely stupid, guys. I just do not understand the rhetoric, the anti-Chinese and anti-Russian rhetoric. No more access to cheap energy from Russia, no more access to cheap goods from China. And that's the end of the EU. Like Borrell has said, that EU has lost its two major markets, access to cheap energy and access to cheap goods from China. And this is going to be the end of the EU. The EU is never going to be the same again. So talking about LNG as well, and obviously LNG is very expensive, And we're talking about 10, 11 times more expensive than compared to pipeline prices. And it's coming all the way from America, and Germany is also getting from other sources as well around the world. And recently Qatar has said to Germany, we can't give you LNG because we're completely full. And this is a perfect example of America basically using its allies for their own benefit. And they did this a couple of years ago to Australia. So back then, Australia and China had some sort of trade war, and China decided not to buy any Australian LNG. And America said to the world and Australia, we stand by you, we are your friends, we'll stand by you. And behind their backs, they buy China buys LNG from United States, and the United States basically signed a contract with China to buy LNG for 20 years. And this LNG China is buying from United States, and they are selling it back to Europe for about 4 times the price. And you can see that America doesn't care about its allies. They will backstab its allies any possibility or any chance they get. And they did that to Australia, and now they're doing it to the rest of Europe. They're doing it to Germany, they're doing it to France. And the lame duck president of France, Macron, said the other day, oh, I didn't know LNG from America is so expensive. They're selling it 4 times more than they sell it within the United States. Why are they selling it so expensive? I mean, Macron, do you not have a brain? Do you really think that American LNG is going to be cheaper or the same price as pipeline gas? Should have thought of that before placing all these sanctions. I mean, who puts these idiots in charge? And the same thing with Robert Habeck guy as well. He was complaining. But you should have thought about that before placing all these sanctions on Russia, you idiots. And you think America's going to come here and save you. I mean, America only thinks about their interests. They only think about profits. They don't really care about Europe. They'd rather see Europe crash and burn than see United States burn. They rather sacrifice Europe. They don't give a crap about Europe. They don't give a crap about anyone. And then now you have all of these Europeans who are literally falling off a cliff because the United States told them to. And then they're halfway around, when they're falling off the cliff, halfway to the floor, then they started thinking, "Oh shit, what the hell are we doing?" It's too late by then. Absolutely too late. So how's it going, guys? You guys got any questions for me? Nobody wants to join from Patreon and stuff. 166 viewers, which is not bad. Not bad. Could do better. Don't forget to like. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Hope you guys are getting a good educational value for this. And I'm going to go into one more topic, and we'll call it a close. Don't forget, you can always ask me a question, but you'll have to do it via super chat because that's the only way. There are so many comments, it's very hard to pick one. So you're gonna have to kind of do it via super chat, and I'll make sure I'll get it answered. Or you can jump in. If you're a Patreon or locals person, you're welcome to jump in and have a chat with me. So the other story I was going to talk about is Britain. So let's go into Britain. So millions facing mortgage misery, what the Bank of England interest rate rise means for you. So a lot of you know that the Bank of England raised its interest rates to extra 3%. And 3% doesn't sound a lot to a lot of people, but 3% is a lot. Extra 3%. It could be the difference between paying extra £200-300 a month on top of your existing interest rate. So just to give you an example, I'm going to kind of give you an example. I've got a calculator here somewhere. There's a calculator. Oh, here it is. So you can see this calculator. It's a mortgage calculator. And if you put in, there is a bank called Nationwide Building Society. It's a bank that provides mortgages, or is a building society, same thing. And if you get a property for 500,000, 500,000 is the average price of a London property. And this is in a poor area, by the way. I'm not talking about a rich area. This is a poor area, somewhere in East London, somewhere away from central London, for average 2 or 3 bedroom house. That's how much you have to pay, 500,000. So say you have £50,000 saved and you want to get your mortgage for 450,000. You get it for 30 years, and you basically want to know how much your mortgage is going to be. So this is how much on a 2-year fixed rate is going to be, 2,680. If you pay the £999 fee, and if you put no product fee, you can see this jumps up to £2,767.80 per month. And this is the interest that the banks will charge you, 6.24%. Even though the base rate is around 3%, you know, the banks will always charge you a percentage over the base rate, because, you know, they got to factor in profit, they got to factor in administration costs and other costs that kind of they put in on top of it. And the banks will always kind of sell it to you for around 6%, 6.5%. So this is how much you have to pay per month, £2,767.80 a month. And let me tell you something. A lot of people, 80% of people in UK do not even earn this much. So for you to get this mortgage, you need to have a partner, and you both need to work. You both need to get good jobs, and then you can both split this cost. And with the way things are going in UK, nobody lasts in UK. Let me tell you something. Divorce rates have gone through the roof over the past few years, because nowadays couples are not staying together. You know, the rise of social media, the rise of Tinder, you know, is basically giving people a false sense of belief. People think that there's, you know, the grass is always greener on the other side. So whenever couples get into arguments, they think that it's easier to break up than to work things out and sit down and work things out. And I've noticed that a lot. You know, one small argument and that's it. A couple breaks up, couple break up, couple break up. You know, and this is happening a lot because people, they go on social media, they see all these beautiful women who are single, and the guys think that they got a chance with them, and the women obviously, you know, and the women are very like they also see kind of there's a lot of kind of men out there and stuff. You know, every time they go out, men are kind of hitting on them, and the women think that they can get anyone as well, and that's the thing really. And people, you know, back in the day, we're talking about 30, 40 years ago, before people had phones, before people had social media, you know, couples were actually sitting down, working on their problems, working to improve each other. Because at the end of the day, not everyone's perfect. You know, you need to not only work on yourself, but you also need to learn about yourself. Your partner needs to also grow and learn, and you can both help each other through that journey. You know, if you make mistakes, you kind of sit down, work it out, you forgive and forget, move on. But people are not doing that these days. People nowadays, they seem to be breaking up for the smallest thing. I mean, I go to work, I meet people every day, and sometimes people talk to me about their relationships, and I'm thinking, you broke up for that? Is that it? Because people break up for the most stupidest reasons. I mean, one woman told me that, you know, she broke up with her long-term partner because he kept leaving his socks in the living room or something. And I said, you know, that is not a reason to break up with someone. You know, if that is bothering you, then you need to kind of tell him, like, you need to kind of tell him or kick his ass, make sure he doesn't do that again. But yeah, I think people nowadays, you know, couples are not they're not for the long term. They don't kind of hang around together. So for you to get a mortgage together with a partner is very, very risky, guys. Very risky. If you break up, you might as well just lose your home, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose your home. You're both going to say, you know what, forget it. We'd rather lose the home than stay with that person. And this is the problem. People are stuck. And so this one is a 2-year fixed rate. You can also get 10-year fixed rate, 5-year fixed rate, 3-year fixed rate, 5-year fixed rate, 10-year fixed rate. And the same thing with 10-year fixed rate. You can see monthly payments 2,608. Initial percentage is 5.69. And this is a good value to get. If you want to get a mortgage, I would probably recommend a 10-year fixed rate because the interest rates they're going to keep going up, because the inflation's going up and interest rates are going to go up. Every economist will tell you that you have to raise your interest in line with the inflation. So if the inflation is 10%, you got to raise interest rates to 10%. And that's how it was done previously, and that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to keep raising interest rates. So if you're going to get a house, you try and get it as a 10-year fixed rate. For that percentage, it will do you good. But you can see the monthly payment is still too high. This is more than enough what anyone can afford. Even if you can afford it, you're not going to be able to pay any bills. You're not going to be able to pay for any entertainment, going out, just not going to have any money left over. You're just going to be going from paycheck to paycheck. And if you miss 3 payments, then your name gets put into a credit file. It's like a Britain's own social credit system, and you will not be able to get any more mortgages or loans or anything if you miss 1 payment or 2 payments. And if you miss 3 payments, you lose your home. There is a process before you lose your home. They cannot take it from you after 3 months. They have to go through courts and things like that. But they will eventually take it if you don't pay the mortgage. It's within their rights to take it. If it does go to court, you haven't got a chance in hell. No judge can kind of look at you and sympathize with you if you haven't paid your mortgage, because at the end of the day, unless you have paid all of the mortgages off, the property is still owned by the bank because they've given you that money. So if you haven't paid it, you will be losing your home. And this is what happened in the 2008 financial crisis. A lot of people lost their homes, and guess what? A lot of rich people bought these homes for a very cheap price. They bought it in auctions. In the United States, you have the foreclosure. So you can buy very cheap foreclosure homes. In UK as well, very cheap auction homes. And a lot of rich people bought these properties and they've rented them out and making more money. So the poor and middle class are losing homes, and the rich are just expanding their portfolio and building up their property empire. While the poor people can't afford it, they're losing it. Middle class are losing their homes as well. And this is what's happening. The rich people end up with all the properties, and the poor and middle class end up with 0 properties. And that's how it went in 2008, and this is how it's going to be now as well. A lot of people are going to be losing their homes, and the rich are going to be buying them off at a very cheap price. And that's a problem with capitalism, and this is the problem of today's society, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So let's talk a bit more about Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson. Yeah, we'll talk about this. Just going to make sure you guys are okay. Just checking the messages. Is everybody still okay? You guys can still hear me okay? You guys are finding this interesting? Very, very good. We'll move to the final. Story, guys. We're talking about Rishi Sunak. So Rishi Sunak, he came on the Jewish news, and apparently, according to Jews, if you call anyone a globalist, they find it anti-Semitic. So I don't understand where the hell they got this anti-Semitism from the word globalist. I have no idea where that's come from. So you can see a lot of people are basically calling Rishi Sunak globalist. It says here, new research shows how the Prime Minister's former banker has been targeted in tweets using dog whistle term drawings on anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And they're calling anti-Semitic, they're calling anti-Semitic, but I don't understand why calling someone a globalist is anti-Semitic. If anyone in the chat can explain to me, I'm happy to kind of listen. Social media attacks on Rishi Sunak, alleging the former banker is part of a globalist plot to have soared since he became Prime Minister, research has shown. Sunak was mentioned in 16,935 tweets containing the term globalist last week, according to research carried out by Center for Countering Digital Hate, a disinformation watchdog. The globalist conspiracy is a dog whistle term of abuse used by far-right anti-Semitites and anti-vaccine extremists. Oh, come on. Where the hell did this anti-vaccine and the globalists, where is that link? I mean, that is absolutely stupid. I mean, this is why, I do not understand these Jewish papers. I mean, I don't know if they're talking out their arse. If anyone can explain to me what's the link between anti-vaccine and globalist, I'd like to hear it. But let's talk about Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak on Twitter is trending. On Twitter is saying Rishi is out. And one of the reasons people call him a globalist, and you know what, for me, what globalist means is somebody who's either a high-end banker or somebody who owns kind of fossil fuel, somebody who's got a lot of power lobbying the government. He tells the government what to do. Government changed the rules because of him. The guys in the WEF, like Schwab, people like that, they're globalists, in the end of the day. And you can tell that Rishi Sunak, I wouldn't call him a globalist, but he probably works for some globalists. And you can see that British Prime Minister makes a sudden U-turn on attending COP26, climate change. So initially, he decided not to go to COP27, and this is going to be held in Egypt. And he decided not to go to COP27 because he doesn't care about the climate. He doesn't care about, reducing the carbon footprints in UK. And when he was the Chancellor, he never cared about that. He never did one green policy during his campaign as Chancellor. And I remember one of his budgets was to reduce tax in airline flights or something. And the problem with that is, when you encourage people to take airlines instead of, trains or other forms of transport, then that increases CO2 around the world. And this is why, a lot of these policies just didn't make any sense. The fact that he didn't want to go to COP27 and he got a lot of people hating on him, and they wanted him out on Twitter. He was trending Rishi out, basically. And the government had to change their mind, basically he made a complete 180 and decided to go to COP27. But in COP27, he's going to be an absolute embarrassment, because Britain as a country has not, since COP26, they have not done any of the promises they made on COP26. In fact, they added more coal power plants. There's more coal pollution in UK. Also, they've added more fossil fuel contracts and things like that. And every one of these commitments they made in COP27, they have not followed it through. And the rest of the Europe is doing the same thing. They're burning a lot of coal because of the lack of gas as well. And so none of the European countries can come to COP26 or COP27 and start blaming India and China, because this is what happened in the last COP26. I think there was a guy in England called Alok Sharma, and he was literally crying at the end, saying, "Oh my God, I tried, but this is all India's fault. This is all China's fault." and he was literally crying, blaming India and China, and this is really funny because it's literally crocodile tears. I think this guy should win an Oscar. I've seen, Brie Larson cry better than him. I mean, seriously, this guy definitely should win an Oscar. So he was blaming China, he was blaming India, and I want to see like what Britain does this time, and I want to see who they blame this time. Are they still going to blame India? Are they still going to blame China? Because that's what they've been doing in every single COP. They've been going and every single COP they've been blaming India, they've been blaming China, and it's just a way of them kind of throwing the blame to other countries, especially the global South. But you've got to understand, Britain, as well as a lot of European countries, have exported their manufacturing to China. So obviously China's going to, need to create these goods. They need energy for those goods. So they're going to be burning a lot of energy. Britain has exported all of these manufacturing of these goods. So they got no room to talk. If Britain wants to create these cheap goods again, then they're more than welcome to. They're more than welcome to open up these factories in UK and start selling these goods. And they're not going to be cheap, by the way, because opening up factories in UK, giving people a wage, paying all sorts of taxes. The goods that comes from China, suddenly you'll find that they are now 10 times more expensive. So these companies will go bust overnight because nobody's going to buy these products. So you see, it's just double standards, and you got to understand Britain, United States, and the rest of Europe. They industrialized much faster than India and China. We're talking about, Britain started the industrial age, so they've been producing carbon dioxide for centuries now, and when you measure carbon dioxide, you need to obviously put the historical context as well. Some of these countries, like UK, like USA, have got a real major historical footprint as well. They've been producing a lot of CO2, and that time India was very poor, China was very poor. It's only recently China has become industrialized and India is starting to be industrialized. So obviously it makes sense for them to start producing more CO2, and more people are driving cars. More people are needing energy because people are buying goods like TV, fridges, and IoT devices, and these things need energy. So it makes sense for these countries to obviously start producing CO2. But if you look at it per capita wise, US is still the highest polluter per capita. And not only that, the US military, with its 800 bases around the world, produces one third of the world's pollution. Can you believe that? 1/3 of the world pollution. And the worst thing is, the United States military, you're not going to find that in any COP26, COP27 figures or Paris climate figures, because the United States have basically persuaded these countries not to include military when they come to measuring climate and CO2. So none of the US military figures is going to be in those climate figures. So what they don't want you to know is 1/3 of the CO2 that gets produced around the world comes from the United States military, and with its 800 bases around the world, that's a huge amount of CO2 being produced. So they're not going to say things like that. They're not going to say that US is like the biggest polluter per capita. They're not going to mention anything like that. They'll be happily blaming India and China, and I like to see what they do in this COP27. I like to have a laugh and listen to what excuses they make this time. It would be quite funny, I think. I will cover it. So there's another story trending. People are saying Boris Johnson is trending again, and they're saying that he had backing to challenge Rishi Sunak. This is what's going to happen, guys. Rishi Sunak is just keeping the seat warm for Boris. This is why I think Boris is still popular amongst the Tory backbenchers. They are waiting for Rishi Sunak to make a big mistake, and they're also waiting for Rishi Sunak to take the economy to such a crappy level that all the blame would go to Rishi Sunak, and then Boris Johnson will come in nearer next year or nearer to the general election, and he will come in like a savior. He'll be like, oh yeah, I'm the savior, I'm the white knight, I'm the savior, I'm going to come in and help, help fix the economy from Rishi Sunak, who's absolutely destroyed our economy. So Rishi Sunak is only here as a stopgap, I believe. And you can see, you just have to Google Boris Johnson on Google, and you can see every single British paper is covering it. Everyone is saying Boris Johnson, Boris Johnson, Boris Johnson. They're all saying he has got the backing in the Tories. So Rishi Sunak is still going through his little honeymoon period. I'll give him another 2 weeks when things get very, very cold, when Britain has power cuts, when inflation goes through the roof, when people start losing homes. Things are going to get very, very bad for Rishi Sunak. And when that happens, I can see people turning on Rishi Sunak. So watch this space, guys. The British government is like watching a circus. You might as well just switch off all your Netflix subscriptions and just watch the show. You can just sit back from your armchair and just watch the show. And the British government is absolutely like a circus show at the moment. So finally, I want to talk about, I was going to kind of cover this when I first started talking about drugs and stuff. And you can see, primary school pupils are now running drugs like the norm. And there's this kind of stories about basically, here. You can see that nine-year-old kids are being groomed, harmed, or even killed by drugs. And there's basically a video of this young girl who's 9 years old, who's kind of taken some MDMA, and she basically died because obviously her young mind couldn't handle it. And this is happening all over UK at the moment, and things have gone very, very bad. And the reason I mention this is because I live in an area where 2 families from 2 homes have already lost their kids due to drugs, and they basically died. So this is a huge kind of issue happening around UK at the moment. And from what I know is, the police are kind of putting a blind eye onto drug-related cases. I think they are completely, the police right now are completely overswamped with calls, 999 calls, and there's a lot of people robbing people in the street. A lot of people are having, cost of living crisis. A lot of people are robbing people. There's a lot of shoplifting going on. And let me show you some clips of some shoplifting and people destroying kids. UK phone shop. You can see here, look. So these are kids basically walked into a mobile phone shop, and can you see the iPhones on display? So you can see kids are basically literally going in and taking these iPhones off the display. They're kicking it down. The staff can't do anything. They phone the police, and the police don't turn up for like 12 hours later. And this is happening all over UK and London, Birmingham. Every single city, it's like this at the moment. Little kids are being, there's just too much happening in England for police to control. And this is why, police have decided to focus more on violent crime, robberies, sexual crime, because that's gone up really, really high at the moment. And and things like drugs and stuff, they have taken a backstage. And I know this because I know a couple of friends who are police officers, and they have been instructed, by people higher up that certain crimes are now going to be put on as kind of higher priorities than other crimes. And the police are also being trained for riots going to happen over the next few months. They have already been told that there's going to be riots in the street. They have to prepare for riots and people basically doing this sort of stuff more and more. And so the police are being told certain things and not to focus on certain crimes. So things like drugs, they're not really, that's not their main priority anymore. Nowadays, their main priority is going to be on kind of violent crimes, robbery. So I want to show you another store here. There's another store where people are walking in. You can see here, this is in Wolverhampton, people are walking in, they're just going in, breaking, and just breaking these phones. The staff can't really do anything except phone the police. They can't really do much. They can't apprehend these criminals. Otherwise, you don't know what they might carry a knife. They might carry weapons. So, it's very scary to kind of confront these guys. And look at this one as well. This is also happening in other parts of the world as well. This is in San Francisco. So this is happening all over the world at the moment, and you can see these just grabbing the iPhones from iPhone stores and running off, and there's a lot of this on the rise at the moment, and I just think it's just going to get worse and worse. It's not really reported much on television. It doesn't get reported much on TV and stuff, and you can see. People are kind of robbing people in the streets as well. You can see here, people, that is a woman, by the way, because a woman's watch is believed to have thieves' main target. So that is a woman, and look what they're doing. I'm not going to show much more of this because I'm going to probably get demonetized for it. But you kind of get the idea what's happening around the world at the moment, and it's just there's a lot of stuff that's happening around the world, guys. It's just getting worse, and it's not being reported. People are focusing on Ukraine. People are focusing on like cost of living crisis, but they're not going to, report all of these violent crimes that are going up in the world. Yeah, see, all these kids are just kind of taking the stuff and walking out. You can see the shopkeeper chasing after them. So I'm not going to show you much more. Kind of what I'm trying to say. So yeah, things are not looking good, unfortunately. Kids as young as 9, like I said, are getting into drugs and drug dealing and taking drugs and dying. Young kids are breaking into mobile phone shops. Young kids are robbing people, in the daylight. And this is going to happen more and more all over the world, not just UK, but also in the United States. And any question, guys? I think I've been talking now for almost 1 hour, 45 minutes. I hope I'm not depressing you guys with all the world news. Hope you found this quite quite entertaining, educational. Like I said, this is I'm going to try and do this on a weekly basis, go through like lots of stories all at once. I'm going to give you guys a chance to kind of interact with me, give you a chance to call in. You're welcome to join my Patreon and locals, and you can just dial in and have a chat with me. Or you can kind of put in a super chat here and I'll answer your question. So I'm just going to go up and see if I've missed any super chats or anything like that. Give me a second. There you go. So this is an easier way to check. Oh, I can't go up, guys. I can't go up further. That's a bit of a problem. No, that's all right. Oh, here's one super chat. But he didn't give me a question. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Oh, Bill, another one. Appreciate that. So that's it, guys. If you guys got no more questions for me, let's call it a day. I hope it was interesting for you guys, and hope you enjoyed it today. Completely new format, getting you guys a chance to introduce myself. One of these days, I'm going to get the missus here as well. So keep a lookout for these shows. I'm going to get my missus, and we're going to have a chat in front of you. I'm going to tell you how we met and introduce her as well. If she's not feeling shy, she might switch on the camera for you guys and show you what she looks like. She doesn't work for the government, so it doesn't really matter. Or she might not want to. Depends if she's shy or not. So yeah, one of these weeks I'll get her involved. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys like, share. You know what to do. Anything to help the algorithm. And yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate all the thanks you guys are giving me, all the support. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I do ramble on sometimes. I do talk a lot, but I've got a lot of knowledge to share with you guys. So hope you appreciate it. So yeah, thanks for everyone, and thanks for everything. And let's go on to the chat, and we'll continue from there. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.